Welcome back to Allison Customs Project Car TV. I'm Jeff Allison, and thank you for watching.
Unfortunately, you can't hear a lot of the audio on this. And mostly, got this so we can see the table before it gets leveled. We're fighting, bad grounds and materials not sitting level, so we keep losing our cut. You can see all the sparks, and really in a couple of views you can really see how much smoke is coming out of this machine right now. And as we start to get everything figured out, I'm also going to play here in a minute with the Z-axis of the torch height and try some automated with that, and then recut all of these. You can see the slag and it's not cut all the way through, and that type of stuff.
I think we had not enough air and then too much amperage. We're going to try going into settings, and we're going to try using torch height control. And maybe lower this down just a little bit to 0.015. Let's just see if that does anything. Let's talk to
We were trying a few different settings and still didn't quite get it right yet. But here in a minute we've started getting better ground and we're starting to recut the original circles. Right in here you can see all the smoke that's coming off this machine now. And here soon we're going to have the water in the table, and you'll see the difference in when we're making our cuts.
Well, I thought I'd show you what I've done. So down here we got the hose bib to drain the system. I got my valve in so that if we had an air leak we could still hold the water in the tank and in the table. We've got a couple of unions so we can separate the tanks and get the whole thing apart should we need to. And I still have not done my air regulator, so that's something to come. But I did get the feet installed. And what I did there was weld a 7/16 nut to the top side of this foot. And then I cut out some circles, which you'll see in the video here that I did before the water table was up. And then I ran a 7/16 bolt down, and it pushes down on the circle. And I welded a 1/2 nut on the circle so that the 7/16 would fit down through it, and the plate, the foot doesn't need to turn because the bolt will just spin in there, but the 1/2 nut locates the 7/16 bolt. I hope all that makes sense. Okay, so I welded a 1/2 nut to the circle, to the foot. And this isn't a 7/16. This is a 7/16, not a 1/2. But if it was a 1/2, the 7/16 bolt fits right down inside it, and it would push against the plate when you tighten it to raise the table. I welded a 7/16 nut to the inside of that foot so that this bolt then runs down through there, through the foot or through the base of the table and onto this foot to push up. And that gives you the ability to level the table. So this foot is just, this particular foot has no rise in it, and then the other three took a little bit to make the table level. And I just ran all the water out of the system up onto our table, and you can see we're actually touching our material. So I don't know exactly what height we need the water at, but we have about it looks like about 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's just touching the tops of the tips in most places. So maybe as much as a 1/4 inch below the material. I don't think that. I think the bottom of the table or the bottom of that plate is probably wet. So let's cut something. I'll probably just cut another couple of circles and we'll just see how it does. We're going to cut a square that relates. So it didn't like that water blowing back up on it. It thought it had hit material, so it ground it out. So I'll have to look at that. You know, obviously got to play with the water height a little bit. That was 0 smoke, which was awesome. The piece we're using is cold, and my plan was to put it right here so that when the torch went home, it wouldn't be blowing water up on it. Depending on how I did it, I could probably make a bigger square that would sit in here, and then that could also be your initial cut point. So let's see if I can get this to go home now. I need to figure out exactly where the first corner you could cut. Wherever that is, if I made a plate that came out and had that point, so you could take this plate, slot it in there, and then when it came back, it wouldn't be blowing water up on itself because I could make it a big L. So right there is what it considers the edge of the table. And I know it didn't move very much, but what I'm thinking is I could measure out an X and a Y axis and cut an L shape that I can then weld in here. That basically, if I cut an L out of this piece of material, turn it and put it in here, and then you could stick whenever you had something, you just shove it into that, and you know it's all going to be on the metal. So let's measure that and see what we come up with. I think it's pretty cool so far. Pretty happy with, there's no smoke, and that's the best part so far. So that's it for now. It's getting late, and I need to hook up some grounds and a few other things that I want to do on a little more permanent than just having it sitting out here in the water. But I'm going to drain the water and get this thing welded in probably tomorrow. It looks like it's going to work really well for what we're trying to do. See you tomorrow. I welded in my little corner plate there that hopefully will keep moisture or water from blowing back up on the tip while it's moving. And I've mixed up my anti-rust, antibacterial formula with some blue food color, and I mixed up enough for right around 100 gallons, and we're probably only operating at around 70 or so. So we'll let that mix in.
Playing with cutting out a sign with the Allison Customs name in it, and it for the most part works out. I basically learned a few different things that I needed to know as far as leaving the center of the letter O in the metal and that kind of stuff. So that's basically it. We're just going to watch the machine cut letters. So here I'm just playing with a piece of scrap aluminum, just cutting out the same exact sign I just made out of the steel. And the only difference is that I didn't have enough to kind of really position it correctly, so I needed the steel underneath it to help with some holes that were already in the metal and stuff like that to keep water from blowing up through it, and grinding it out. But just messing around, see how it comes out when you play with aluminum instead of steel.
There it is, and everything's essentially cool to the touch, even what we just cut. It's a little warm, but not hot enough I can't put my hand on it. So, gonna knock some of this stuff out and lay it out on the floor, see what we get.
Thanks for watching Allison Customs Project Car TV. Like us on Facebook and check us out at AllisonCustomsOnline.com.